Hey guys, on this episode of CybrZoom, we're going to be going into this Cybertruck towing. I want to give a big thanks to one of the content guys out there that went ahead and made some videos and borrowed somebody else's truck. Again, it's the fast lane truck there. But it seems to be that most content creators that are out there, if they are doing a review on a Cybertruck, are more than likely renting or borrowing it. As you can see here, the gentleman who actually owns the truck there in the back also owns this Dodge Cummins, and he is taking it for a drive, disconnecting it from the Cummins, and we're going to hook up the Cybertruck with the same hitch. Now, he's been pulling this truck and trailer apparently for quite a while, about a year and a half now, and the trailer that he bought here is 33 feet long and quite wide. This is a pretty good sized trailer if it is 33 feet long. So it's going to give a lot of wind resistance and things. And you'll see that this is a kind of trailer hitch. If you have not seen one like this, actually has weight bars that can assist for swaying if it's going to be going to Colorado, things like that, up into the mountains. It does assist. But one thing you want to notice here, when the Cybertruck is backing up, he mentions that he does not get any sensor alarms or warnings. Those typical kind of sensors that you would get and alarms that you would get when you're backing up. He mentions that you do not get those, and I'm not sure if that's in the settings, so forgive me on my ignorance on that, but that could be something in the settings that was not turned on or off. But he does mention that the screen resolution, and it's been said on many other demos that the screen resolution is incredible. So when it does go back, there is no distance sensor. There's no, hey, it's going to give me 3, 4, 2 feet, which is kind of weird. Hopefully that comes in a later software update. But it turns out that this guy has definitely pulled a lot of things, because he did line it up darn near perfect. And he does drop the trailer onto the ball for the Cybertruck. Now, the Cybertruck, he goes back inside. He does cross the chains right here. I'm in Texas. We cross the chains all the time. And also, if you have not towed before, you definitely put this little pin in here. It doesn't really explain it very well, but that goes around there. And if for some reason the chains fail, the brakes fail, everything fails, and that thing just goes shooting off the back of your car, that pulls and will automatically lock the brakes of that 33-foot trailer so it doesn't go caravanning down into someone else in the freeway. So back to that. He is going to be going right here into the trailer brakes. Now, it goes from 0 to 10 in 1/10 increments, which is kind of weird. Usually just kind of goes in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but this goes in 10th increments, so it's a little bit more fine-tuned. Definitely very helpful, and I hats off to the Tesla engineers for that. There is also a boost. Some people use it, some people don't, but you do have an option for 1, 2, or 3 for the boost for the Cybertruck when you're doing the trailer. Also, you can see here that it does show that you are pulling something. It senses that, because when the lights are plugged in the back, it's like, hey, okay, we got something hooked up. So it will go ahead and populate there. Now, let's go ahead and see how the screen goes. If you hold it, it's going to test the actual brakes. Just kind of gives a little jolt forward. He mentions here in the video that he does feel it. Going here, and just kind of going around and just doing a test on the turn signals, brakes, things like that. Because in California, apparently, if you get caught doing anything wrong or going over 55 miles an hour, as you will see, they apparently take your license and confiscate your Cybertruck and trailer. But right here, you can kind of tell how you set the back end and the rear end of the trailer. It looks like when we pull this away, you see the trailer and truck right at the bed. It doesn't look like it's quite even, but if you look right here, the brake assist and the little roller wheel on the right, it's kind of neat because it just doesn't, it's the roller wheel on the driver steering wheel doesn't just go up or down, but you can actually kind of pull it over to the right hand side. And when you do that, you'll look on the screen there, it could just kind of just right, and it will actually give some extra brake help. And one thing here that you'll see, the Cybertruck actually does have tactile buttons for park, reverse, neutral, and drive, which is nice that if your screen went blank, you can actually just push a button there and have that tactile. That's one thing that people have been saying, and on a lot of these reviews, it doesn't really go into that, so that's very nice. Now, this particular version of the Cybertruck that he's doing, he is using the dual version, so it has the one motor in the front, one motor in the back, and you do still have the steering available. The four-wheel steering in the tow mode is still active, so that's been a question that's kind of popped up. But in the comments below, what do you think about that? Do you think that you would just rather kind of do a hard turn or still have the easy turn, be able to feel it a little bit more? But the driver here is going to continue to go down and do an actual mileage check, which is awesome, because we're going to actually see, and I'm going to prove yet again that the mileage on these things is atrocious. It is absolutely atrocious. He just said trip B here. You're going to see later on that it's, I mean, I'll go ahead and give a preview. We're looking at almost a 1-to-1 ratio. So we'll go into that in here in a second. But driving down the road, even with pulling the trailer, this is a good thing to point out. It's going about 45 miles per hour. And at 45 miles per hour, the decibels on the inside of the vehicle were 64. 64 is pretty darn quiet. Now, with slower speeds, 64 decibels, that's great. And, you know, some of these engineers from the other companies had said that, including Tesla, that they had considered putting a sound or a noise inside the vehicle to kind of imitate that sound of an engine, because as humans, we kind of like that. You know, we like to kind of feel it. And Tesla, of course, are quiet. But the Rivian, according to this gentleman, actually is a little bit quieter. And I have been in a Rivian, although I do not own one. It's pretty quiet, even with towing. So I am curious to see how the Cybertruck's going to work out here. But the 0 to 60 on this thing is 4.1, and even pulling this thing, it can actually get up and go pretty good. You're going to burn through that battery even more than you are. But the Cybertruck here is actually pretty wide, even just as wide as a full-size pickup. It sits a little bit lower, so with that little bit lower, it does cut through, but then you're going to have that tall trailer in the back. You're going to burn some battery power pulling this thing. The rear camera on this is pretty useless, obviously, but what's interesting to point out here is when you are towing, you have these triangular mirrors, which are very aesthetically pleasing, but when you're trying to tow something, you know, typically when you're towing a larger trailer, you will have the extended mirrors on there. Cybertruck doesn't have extended mirrors at this point, so there is a point on here that it is kind of difficult to see, but that's going to be able to be modified with a larger mirror or to put something on there. So it's a, you know, kind of a mute point, kind of nitpicky, but beautiful shot here of how this thing is pulling. Like I said, it definitely needs to be adjusted on the trailer hitch there. It wasn't necessarily hooked up. But again, I'm going to go ahead and mention, you know, we're going 65 miles an hour here, and then it was the end of the world to go 65, so we had to slow it down to 55 in California. Like I said, I'm in Texas, don't know how it is in California, but apparently they come and they'll swoop in and take the helicopter and take your truck and take you and everything else. So I was very alarmed to definitely slow down to 55 miles an hour. But at 55 miles an hour pulling this trailer, you're kind of going pretty slow, man. Going pretty slow and still burning that battery power, which I say, I mean, we're looking at a 1-to-1 here, guys. 1-to-1. So it does have the acceleration. It does stay there. The sway is very minimal, but you can see that it's very flat. So because it is very flat there, and this, you know, you're not really pulling uphill, it's pretty easy going and not too hard of a pull for the Cybertruck. And according to other reviews, this thing can pull, you know, pretty much anything you want. It's just a matter of how fast your battery goes down. But to be noted here, we're going a 33-foot trailer, It's about 7,000 plus pounds, give or take. So you're right in the sweet spot. Great shots here. You can kind of tell it, again, it does need to be adjusted, that trailer, but great shots of the Cybertruck. So let's look really at what we want to right now. Let's look at those results. You see it right there, guys. 22 miles, 20 kilowatts, and he was pulling at 55 miles an hour. You know, you see the 0.9, man, it's a little bit backwards how it goes, but let's just even this out. You can go and haw around it again. I've said it multiple times on a lot of these videos, especially a lot of the Tesla fanatics. I am one. However, it's 1 for 1 on this. And if you were to be in maybe ultra cold weather, you know, you got 123 kilowatts, 100%. We've gone through it before. You're going to get 250 miles. But if you're looking at this, I'm seeing at 1 and 1, what are we looking at? 115 miles, you know, in maybe some moderately cold weather. You have some hills and things like that. You are going to be going to the supercharger every 90 to 95 miles. If you think I'm wrong, challenge me. Let's put this thing on. But there's been some other people online that have done some range tests, and that's about what it is. It's 90 to 100 at 100% charge, and that's not even in super cold weather. So the superchargers don't necessarily have a lot of pull-throughs, so you're going to be unhooking this trailer, supercharging for an extra long time, and then hooking back up the trailer. And if you've ever hooked up and unhooked and rehooked a trailer, it can take forever to do that. So you're going to be looking at 20 minutes, you know, to unhook and rehook sometimes, to do it securely and safely. But tell me in the comments what you guys think. Again, all we do here is Cybertruck news and brand and info. That's all we do here at CybrZoom.
CybrZoom. CybrZoom. CybrZoom. CybrZoom.